And you know what you're doing? You're basically going after the same women over and over and over again. And it's depressing and it's sickening because do you understand who gets a bad name at the end of the day? We do. You want to know why? It's because of the choices we make on some of the women we choose to put in our lives. Yo, what's up, y'all? This is now episode 14 of the Let's Rap podcast. This is Philosophical, your host.
And I am your co-host, Jay Echo. What's good?
Today, we're talking about basically as we get older as men, we're still kind of in our childish ways, kind of in our child years. And, as a man, I tend to be subjective to some of these things,
Mm.
you know. Uh, and you can call this a rant. I'm probably talking about myself, but it can be borderline hurtful, borderline depressing, and borderline not having a clue of what we're thinking or saying or even doing sometimes. Let me make this abundantly clear. In your late 30s, fellas, men, you're in the prime years of your life. That is a opportunity to exceed from what I call the negative environment for which from where you seem to be used to. We've been talking about patterns of behavior. We've been talking about just doing the same childish things over and over and over again. And we look for women in that type of environment. We look for women to try to correct our childish ways. Not saying that there's a playful way, there's a playful act, there's playful behaviors, but when you have a mindset, it's all of the mindset. When you have a mindset to the fact that you still want to be a player like you're in your 20s, like, dude, come on, man. You're in the prime years of your life. You got a good job, good car, good home. You just need a companion. And it takes a strong man to get out of that mindset to the fact that, you wake up and you're doing the same things you were doing when you were 24, 25, 26. Like, why? And you know what you're doing? You're basically going after the same women over and over and over again. And it's depressing and it's sickening because do you understand who gets a bad name at the end of the day? We do. You want to know why? It's because of the choices we make on some of the women we choose to put in our lives. It's toxic. It's disgusting. It's downright disgusting, fellas. We got to be more cognizant and aware on the type of just decision making we're doing. And I'm hovering back on, the decision making. You got to have a sense and a tone of peace and a tone of meditation. And there are days where I get up and I have my childish ways. I have my days where I feel that way. But fellas, it's all about just having some self pride for yourself, having some having a sort of like maturity. We're in our 40s. Some guys, some men in their 50s, still acting like they're in their 20s. It's the maturity level. We are losing the maturity game. Stop adding toxic people in your life. All it does is create more toxicity. That's all it does. And fellas, like, I don't, you know what? I don't care. I really don't care to the fact that stop caring what other people think and say about you. If you are a 43-year-old gamer, so what? If you're making high six figures and you working hard at work and you want to come home and play the game, so what? Stop letting others dictate on who you should be. Be who you want to be, but have some maturity for yourself. Stop doing the same thing. Stop introducing the same person into your life, doing the same things over and over again. 40, 45, 50 years old talking about, man, I got to go out in these streets. Or like, yo, I'm talking to this chick, this woman. Hopefully she's a woman at 50 years old. This woman, but she doing the same toxic things that you were doing in your 30s. Is there a sense that you have to feel like you need to feel young again? I'm talking to the fellas. I mean, I understand you're in your 20s. You're still trying to find yourself. You're still trying to find the maturity, that right one. But dude, men, fellas, you're in your late 30s still talking about the same stuff. You know what some of these women are doing in their homes right now? They're on their couches sipping wine, reading books while we're out in the streets. Women are in the house getting smarter. They're reading. They're reading books about us on how a typical man is. And you know what that causes when you get with a woman? The first thing, a woman already knows the way you are before she even meets you because it's already been written in books, written on the internet. Oh, you're this, you're that. We as men, we go after a certain type of woman. We do this. We're cheaters. We're just players. You want to know why? Because we keep making the same typical dumb decisions every day. Just outside my house yesterday, man and woman outside arguing and fighting. For what? Because he cheated? Because she don't have no sense? The first question you should ask yourself is that why do you continue to let that person into your life? Why do you continue to interject and introduce the same behaviors? That stuff doesn't go away. There's certain things within a relationship, even a marriage, even a friendship, or you even getting to know a person that don't go away unless that person wants to change specifically for you. We got to stop chasing the same type of woman. And I'm sorry to say it. I got to say it. Is it the reason why she got a fat ass? Because she got a nice body? She can't even add 2 plus 2. Or she wants you to take care of her and her bills, plus yours, because you make a certain amount of money. That's the thinking to the fact that we just we just gonna take it because that's what men do. We're dumb. We're barbarians. We're still in the caveman era to the fact that, oh well, I can do this. I can say this. I can give him some. I can give him a little bit. He'll accept it. And on the meanwhile, men, fellas, I read something today on Facebook that this should be a given. Just as much as we're treating quote unquote, and I put that in air quotes because not every woman out here is the right woman. You got to get to know that woman first. But we're out here treating women like queens. Do you understand that we as men deserve to be treated like kings? It's okay for our woman to spoil us sometimes. It's okay for a woman to, if we had a hard day at work, to rub our feet, to take us out to dinner. It's okay, fellas. It's okay to say that in a relationship and a marriage. Like, look, there are some days where like I want to feel like I'm the man. I want to feel like, I want to feel like I'm taken care of and treated like a king. But on the flip side, we got to act accordingly like a king. Kings recognize kings, brothers, fellas. A king recognizes a king the way he carries himself. Stop putting certain people into your life because you can't get over the childish behaviors, the childish ways you have been, whether it's programming, whether it's DNA, whether it's environments. Fellas, you looking for the trophy wife? Understand the consequences that come with it. Go find you someone that'll treat you just as much as you're going to treat her. Figure out the fact that do you two have chemistry? someone that's going to help you save your life, change the things that are going on in your life. Stop going after the same things over and over again because you're never going to grow up, fellas. Understand that. I just listened to the echo chamber on the fact that
Mm.
my co-host felt like he wasn't in a good place. And today still feeling like he's not in a good place. And he's probably gonna sit up and tell you, and he probably won't admit it, but I'll tell it for you. It's probably the fact that sometimes certain people in our life just bring us down. And good people like Jay don't want to bring that type of negativity onto other people. So we keep to ourselves. We don't say anything. We keep it in our hearts. We keep it in our head. And when it gets frustrating, we let it out. And it comes off in a more negative, toxicity, explosive manner. And that's why we're here today to be able to talk about certain things like this.
Very
Just the
true.
other day, the percentage of men, happy men, peaceful men, suffering from depression is absurd. You want to know why? It's because men aren't talking. You want to know why? It's because it's the schizophrenic decisions we continue to make. Schizophrenia and depression are diseases. It's an addiction. To the fact that it comes to a point at a certain time to where we don't understand some of the things we're doing unless the light bulb goes off. Understand, put people in your life that will make better decisions and help you and support you just as much as you're going to do the same for that person. Stop going after the Instagram models. Stop going after women on social media. Stop going on these dating sites thinking that there are ways. Now, those are outlets to meet people, yes, but they're ways of arising from the who the person is. Just for example, if you meet a woman in a bookstore, more than likely, what is she in there to do? She's in there reading books. If she's in the grocery store, she loves to cook.
Debatable on that one, but yeah.
Well, okay, well, check out her shopping cart.
There you go.
She got a lot of groceries in there. Hey, that's debatable too. She may got a lot of kids, so watch out for that too. She got a lot of food in her cart, no kids. Hey, she's preparing for abomination.
You know,
So, uh, so it's just, fellas, we gotta do better.
I won't disagree with that point. Let me back up a little bit. Phil, I decided to let Phil get his thoughts out because he we've been we started this conversation started because we were discussing something that we came across. I can't remember what it's actually called, but it's the like extended adolescence of men or some such.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. So the idea being that men go through this phase of extended, well, exactly what the title says. We're adolescents for a longer period than we should be, you know. Now this, if I'm understanding correctly, this phenomena arose around things like gaming culture, stuff like that, but there are a couple different aspects to it, but the major takeaway was that, men essentially need to grow up, and I won't disagree on that specific conclusion. We need to do better. That's not a I
Hmm.
won't argue that point with anybody. Men need to do better.
Hmm.
But one thing that I think Phil touched on, and one thing that I think we need to be very careful about when we're examining this specific phenomenon is when we say extended adolescence, we're not talking about things like, oh, I've had a hard day of work, it's been rough. So I came home and decided that I wanted to play Call of Duty for an hour or two or something like that. We're not talking about stuff like that, you know.
Hmm.
Because like we said, this has a gaming culture aspect to it and everything like that, you know. By all means, if switching on Call of Duty for an hour is how you unwind, by all means, do your thing, man. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to fight anybody on that. Yo, do what you need to do to unwind. Um, when it becomes a problem when you're doing that and ignoring all of the other serious stuff that you need to do, i.e., you're spending half the night on Call of Duty when you got to be up at 6 a.m. tomorrow and get into work. You're spending your entire weekend out with the fellas when you have what's it called? You have responsibilities at home and things like that. By all means, please do better. You know, take your responsibilities seriously, get what you need to get done. But I'm coming at this on the flip side of Phil, because one thing that I've heard is that, oh, the fact that and I've heard this myself personally, so this is why it touches a special nerve, is that, oh, you need to what's it called, you need to grow up just because I do specific things to what's it called, to give myself peace of mind, for instance.
Hmm. Hmm.
Prime example, like I'm a huge anime fan. I will own that. That's my thing. you know when the work is done and I'm looking for a quick break, I'll turn something on and watch that for 20-30 minutes, and then that's how I unwind.
Hmm.
But I've had people, significant others and otherwise, literally look me in my face and say, oh, that's childish. You
Hmm.
need to grow up. And it's like, bruh, how I spend my free time, if I'm not hurting anybody, is my decision. If I am making sure that all of my responsibilities are taken care of, if I am being a good partner, a good friend, a good husband, a good provider, all of that sort of stuff, if I decide that I want to turn on, I don't know, Call of Duty, I'm not a big gamer. If I decide I want to turn on the newest episode of Attack on Titan, whatever the case may be, that's on me. If I'm not hurting you, then by all means, do your thing. But don't come at me just because I enjoy the things that I enjoy and tell me that I am lesser than because I enjoy what I enjoy.
Hmm.
you know like, I'm not going to go up to a woman, for instance, and say, oh, the fact that you spend all day shopping makes you lesser than. you know hey, if that's what you want to do, if you got the money to afford it, by all means, do your thug thizzle. It ain't my problem. you know if your finances are straight and you want to go out and spend money on you, by all means, do that. If it becomes a problem, then re-examine. But I'm not going to turn around and say, "Oh, you're childish because you want to go shopping all day." Nah. If you can afford it, if you're not breaking your bank trying to spend money on yourself, then by all means, do you.
Hmm.
In the same way that I'm not going to turn around and tell somebody who enjoys spending time out in clubs like, "Oh, you're lesser than." That's not where I'm trying to spend my time. But if that's where you want to be, that's where you want to be. As long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, do your thing. But like part of one thing that I've realized and I am realizing the older I get, part of being a man is part of being an adult, period,
Mm-hmm.
is owning who you are. Take ownership of who you are, take ownership of the stuff you like. If it's problematic, by all means, do what work you need to do to fix it, and and try and get better a little bit every day. Do that. But if if your thing is, I don't know, let's pick something random. If your thing is let's pick something off the wall. If you're I don't know, if you're a furry, for instance, I don't know, I'm just picking stuff out of a hat at this point. If you're a furry, if you went out here hurting anybody, by all means live your life. I don't care. It don't
Mm-hmm.
bother me. As long as you don't show up at my crib and start trying to start stuff with me, I'm good. But I am not going to turn around and tell you, oh, you're weird or you're lesser than because you do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point in that? I'm secure enough in who I am to be like, yo, it ain't for me, but hey, do you. Like if the only way you can feel like an adult or like an accomplished person is to put somebody else down, you're not really an adult. You're not growing yourself. So do
Yeah.
better. Don't come at anybody sideways just because they don't do what you do. Now, if they're disrespectful, if they're causing harm, if they're causing problems, by all means, hold them accountable. But don't look at people sideways just because they're different. That's part of what makes the world what it is. People be different.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. If you're not happy with that, if you're not used to that, then by all means, move on, go somewhere else. You can't, because most of the time you're not smart enough to to figure out ways to move somewhere else. But
Mm-hmm.
those are your choices. Either deal with it or move. That's your choice. Instead, you want to turn around and start doing stuff to hurt other people or to do stuff to put down other people. Nah, man, that ain't it. If you
Yeah.
want to be grown for real, stop treating people like they're less than, because you got your own foolishness. We all do. All of us. We all have our shortcomings.
Now let me harp on that. Let me jump in on that because there's a difference between you understand the way you want to be treated and you understanding how to treat another person
That's
and
very true.
not being able to because I think this is something that it's all you all kind of go through. It's the fact that we as men we've dealt with so much trauma and so much baggage from our past to the fact that it gets to a point where we're trying to figure out how to treat this person.
Hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of times arguments and disagreements come because a lack of communication. We're not communicating what we need, what we want. We're trying to figure out how to treat this other person. And I think that's the flip side of it too. We as men, we don't tell. And I've been saying this. It's okay to tell our partners how we want to be treated. To me, that's the testing point right there. If you can't have a conversation on how you would like to be treated, if it's something you feel like is an issue and you're not being treated properly, and you bring that up as a concern, because think about it, men, we only give a few chances to tell our significant others if there's an issue.
Hmm.
It's how you respond. Because we as men, if we're not being heard or if we're feeling disrespected or we feel like we ain't come out and talk in a vulnerable place, that's it. That's it right there. We're not going to open up again to you. And then it could be many different things. Resentment. It could be issues to the fact that we the way we treat you is less than the way we should be. It's just an understanding of the fact that I put this on both, that men and women, we got to reevaluate and learn how to treat each other. When I say that, respond accordingly. That's the breaking point. That's the testing point. If you telling your significant other in a respectable, peaceful manner on how you feel, and the response is like totally nonchalant or angry, or you feeling like you're not getting the results you need or what you need to hear, or at least a compromising tone, you got some decisions to make.
Yeah. And on the other side of that, I feel like we also need to harp on the fact that we also have to take it upon ourselves to listen when that person is telling us
Correct.
what
Yep.
they need.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
if you're not in a position to offer that, then be honest, man. Be honest about it. Like, what's it called? I've had this conversation a couple different times, a couple different ways, but like, if it starts with what's it called? It starts at the beginning of the relationship. You set the expectation, right?
Well, really,
But
really, in the beginning of a relationship, the expectation has been set by your actions.
I would disagree slightly.
If you're, you know, first couple of dates, for example, first couple of dates, you going out, you've paid, or you bought her flowers a couple times, or you know, though that expectation and standard has been set
Yeah,
to a point. If you're repeating those things, you're setting yourself up to a point where it's like, are you going to be able to keep that up?
yeah,
And this what goes to the fact that before doing all those things, do it for somebody that you feel deserves it because they respect you. They it's a good thing going.
hmm
Don't buy a woman flowers just the fact that she called you today, or I'm serious, just for you to get her attention. Nah. How about buy your woman flowers to the fact that you know she's looking good today? I mean, I know that's very cliche, but you know, just think about it this way: you got a wife at home, significant other, woman, girlfriend. And I tell you what, the next topic is going to be your girlfriend doing wifely things, but that's another discussion. But she's washing your clothes, cooking your dinners. You know what I mean? She's cleaning up. She's making sure your clothes are ironed. She's taking care of you in all uh, ways of life that you could be doing yourself, but you're not. How many times do you feel like you're saying thank you to your woman, your significant other? How do you make her feel appreciated? Sometimes a simple thank you is cool, but are you going to say that 10,000 times a day? No. That's the appreciation you should give your significant other. She's taking care of you. Yeah, go buy her some flowers. Go buy her a purse. Take her out to dinner. Spend time with her. Don't spend time with her. Don't buy flowers. Don't buy her expensive purses, expensive gifts to get her to get your attention. Because by all means, she's talking to other guys that's probably doing the same thing. Set yourself apart from what these other guys are doing.
you know,
Go
and,
ahead, continue, Jay. I'm
and
sorry.
the point where I said I will disagree slightly is, yes, you do set the expectation with your actions. I'm not disagreeing on that point, but specifically at the beginning of a relationship, that's the context I'm speaking in. It takes a while to learn a person, to learn a person's idiosyncrasies, to learn a person's, wants, to learn a person's needs, all of those sorts of things.
A while
So,
meaning years.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying, when I said it starts at the beginning of the relationship, what I meant was like, yes, you set the expectation with your actions and everything like that, but learning, like paying attention to those things, paying attention to those signs.
That concludes part one of episode 14. This is a series that's going to be to be continued. Peace.